Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to FPL Don't Panic. We're probably 30 hours or so away from deadline 36. What are we now? Time. That's confusing, been in New Zealand. Anyway, day or two. Going to keep this one brief. Sort of coming to some conclusions. I've obviously spoken to you guys a lot over the last months about the flawed chip strategy, which has left me trying to dig myself out of a considerable hole. Finally got overall target for the year, the season was to finish in the top 100k. I have finally got my nose just inside there, as you can see, 87,000 I think it is. And there's just some irony that I finally get in there, and it's now that the chickens are coming home to roost. From as I say on the graph that you can see there, the poor usage of chips that literally gave me no upside, and as you can see there are a lot of downside, as I thought I would try and get a buffer that I could defend for the season. And now my big challenge now is how do I avoid a big dip like that appearing on the other end of that graph? And the answer is, for this game week, I can't. Simply, I have looked through every connotation of anything that I could do. I can't. So let's just accept we're going to see a big. I've sort of worked it out. I think it could be anything from a drop to 200k to 250k based on sort of the numbers I've crunched. If I was if I was able to, optimize the team with transfers this week and then free hit out in 34. I've come up with sort of teams that I sort of crunched together and crunched the numbers on. Especially if using a bench boost. Yeah, 140 points, easy. Well, I won't say easy. We're going to find out, by the way. We'll find out. I'll talk about that a little later. 140 points or more. So I think what I have to think is there any way to get some advantage in adversity? I think that's the only way that I can look at this. And so the chickens are absolutely going to come home to roost this week. Let's just deal with it. And is what I drop back going to be retrievable over the 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. We know we'll have some sort of a double coming in 36. So there could be some really good fixtures in there. So can I optimize towards that? And are there some things that the people that are optimizing this week, using all the transfers to optimize, coming out in 36? And so some of the things, I've made a few little notes. Let's just try and get this to in some sort of order that makes sort of sense. Teams that are free hitting in 34, a lot of them will be using their transfers, all the transfers they've got left, to optimize as much as they can in this game week. So they're going to be coming out free hitting in 34, fine, really, really well optimized. But they're going to be coming out with just a transfer, maybe one transfer, two at most, into 35, with some of the problems that may have developed over the across the doubles. There may be injuries. Also, there are, I think, some issues within a lot of those teams now. I mean, at the moment, the way they've been playing is having, and most of them will have that, unless they decide to sell them for hits, but then they won't be optimized because the most doublers that you can have is 12, because they're just 4 game weeks. Sorry, four teams doubling. So they're going to be coming out with those Palace players, and if they continue in the current vein of form, that's hardly an ideal situation. And there could be other problems. There's also having players in there that are high risk. And I am talking about your Fodens, your Savinos, your Watkinses, your Rashfords, etc. So if they're going to fully optimise, there's going to be players in there that are high risk as the season draws out. So where am I going with this? What I'm saying is, I can't optimize. There's just absolutely no way I can do that, not without taking a huge amount of hits, which I'm obviously not going to do. They very rarely work, and even if I could, I don't want to do that anyways. I want to try and play through this period without taking any hits, if I can avoid it. to maybe some extenuating circumstances. I'm not there yet. The other thing as well as I realise as well, and we're caught in this FPL bubble. I've been taking a look at just doing a little spot check on teams and trying to get an idea. So yeah, absolutely, there's going to be a huge amount of bench boosters and free hitters coming in across 33 and 34. But there's a lot that have already burned their chips or have only got one left, etc. So a little bit better off than me, but not enough to gain a huge advantage. Particularly if it is just the bench boost that have less left, which sort of get lucky with a bench boost, you might get your 25 or 30 points. But generally, a bench boost, you sort of, if you get 15 points out of it, you're kind of happy. But if you get lucky, yeah, you might have someone on that bench come in with a haul. So there's going to be others in the same boat as me, so I shouldn't underestimate that. I'm not the only one that's sort of dealing with this situation. So how do we do damage limitation whilst preparing for for what's to come post that? So at the moment, I'll have, if I roll this week and I sort of look at my team there, it's not ideal. But I've got some doublers. I'm projecting 53.5 points, and then if I get a decent, oh no, looking at that one there, sorry, bear with me. Yeah, so I'm projecting 52 points. Sorry, 60. No, actually, I'm not projecting 60 points. Sorry, off the first wave of games. Where I'll obviously have a full 11 out, and with the doublers going forward, projecting 20 points. That's about 80 points. Now, as I said, I do expect there's going to be there's going to be a lot of 130s, 40s, 140s, 150s out there. So which means I could probably drop back from that 100k place by 50, 60 points, I'd say, because not everyone's going to be fully optimized. But say I do drop back on that 100k place by 40 or 50 points. Can I claw that back? Now, the thing is that might not happen. I mean, I still think I might get a bit of luck here. I think, as it says, I look through that team. I've got some players in there that could prove to be amazing differentials, like Mbemo and Foden, and not Mbemo and Bowen. If I bring them in, because I still haven't quite decided on my final lineup there. But Mbemo, Bowen, there could be some really, really key differentials in there. Murphy's unlikely to be, and what a hot rubber of form he's in. Do I actually go with Murphy and Bowen? But basically, I can put a five-man midfield out that I'm pretty confident of. Every single one of them will be starting. Is that going to be the case for those who are optimizing, and they suddenly have a midfield of De Bruyne, Saka, Foden, whatever, there's any number. I can't. You look through the short list. Even Rodgers, I'd say would be the safest bet as you look at that watch list there. Yes, there's still a minute's risk in there as well. Could he be? Could Rodgers actually get rested, given given the games that they've had to play? Yeah, I wouldn't guarantee. I don't think there's any of those guys that you can almost guarantee will play both games. So I might just get lucky. But let's take it on the worst case scenario. The majority of people going with the 3-hit 34 strategy and are using up their transfers, maybe taking one or two hits to get a fully optimized team out. That all of their players play, and I end up 50 points behind. So I sort of look at my team going, oh, that's not actually too bad. I would say the only element in there that I'm not 100% happy with, but I won't change it this week, obviously, are the Palace boys. But, I will come out of 30 for the blank 34, which a lot of these guys won't, with, three Newcastle players absolutely banging form, going up against, Ipswich. I doubt many will take out Salah, but I'll have Salah there on a home fixture against Tottenham. I've got some good players. I've got Sa against Leicester. I mean, basically, with two transfers, I can solve some of that Palace problem, if indeed there is a problem, or any problems that have arisen. Because by the time I get there, I'll have 2 or 3 transfers. I can actually make some more key changes, or to get to the 11, or I might just decide to play with 9 or 10 players because it actually doesn't look that bad, and roll again, and then get the information from the because we will know the FA Cup matches. Because if you look further down that spreadsheet and you look at some of the players that I currently have starting to get nice seas of green. Some of the players there that I've got in the watch list, potential doublers in there, nice green fixtures. I mean, the dream would be to have 37, really good double, 36, 37 with some transfers coming out of it, having my little jigsaw coming together there for 37 and 38. So I've literally got just that nice, real, almost like dense green of fixtures, really, really optimized across 36, 37, 38. And I think that may be just a little bit more difficult for those that have, taken a couple of hits, optimized this week, 33, sorry, 32, free hit it in 33. Not too many transfers, just seeing what their team looks like. Oh my god, I've got this, that, I've got injuries, etc. Burning more transfers, maybe taking more hits, whereas I've sort of, got more transfers than them, moving up sort of that 3-4 transfer amount. Just roll, and really, really optimize once we get that information post the blank. Difficult to make definitive plans in this game. We all know that it has been this has been a chaotic season. I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like it. One of the reasons for my flawed chip strategy, was because I haven't played the game that often. This is the first time I've really focused for a whole season. Was I bought into this narrative at the beginning of the season? Oh yeah, the way the FA Cup structured, there's not going to be too many doubles. But that's all right. Let's just go for it at the outset. Let's burn up these chips. Let's try and get a buffer. And then, we'll cruise through at the end of the season when we can roll 5 transfers. I'll just hang on to my bench boost, and I think most the bench boost story, which was a complete accident involving a pint of Guinness, actually several pints of Guinness, and never switched it off for the game week 1. This is the only one I would have actually liked to hang on to, based on how I was going to operate. But anyway, clearly a very, very flawed strategy. So it's how am I going to manage through it? Can I manage through it? Can I still scrape into that top 100k? The numbers have been very, very consistent since game week 9. I've somehow been fending off the last few game weeks. Some of the triple captainers and assistant managers coming in and got decent rank rises, but I just can't manage my way out of this one. Here is going to be a big drop. Here is going to be a big drop unless I'm really, really lucky, and it will be quite an achievement if I manage to hang in there in the top 100k. I think it is going to drop. Going to drop by about 50 points, I estimate, to somewhere between 2 and 250. I mean, it could be worse, but roughly that would be my calculations. So at the moment, I will potentially roll. The only one that will tempt me, is if I did throw just one Hail Mary, a bit like my Harvey Barnes Hail Mary for the last game week, which would just pull off a minor miracle for me in that double. And the only Hail Mary I might take would be Kevin De Bruyne, if got some word just before, because it's the early kickoff again. If we did get some word that he's definitely playing, so at least I could catch him for one. The reason for that is City's fixtures are good. They're not involved in Europe. There's some really nice fixtures there and a potential double at the end of the season. And he's in his City swan song. I think he's going to want to play the matches. He said it was the first time for years that he hasn't been in pain. He's going to want it in that 37. He's going to want to have a City swan song. So I can see a narrative written there. I can see out of these fixtures him starting a fair chunk of them, and we might be able to get a read on the ones he doesn't. Bringing his averages into that team for the games that he started. His starts have been very, very erratic, but his averages are good. When he plays, he gets something, and I think he's going to be on a little bit of a mission to get City into the Champions League. He'll want to, leave the City fans with a smile on their faces. I think he could. I think he could be a little differential with, dare I say it, a captain's armband on him. But I would need to see that he's playing. So that would be if I was to throw a Hail Mary this week, that would be the only one, because quite frankly, I do not trust anyone's starts to bring anyone in for what could only be one additional fixture, using a transfer, which then becomes a hit that I might have to take further down the line, or play with, 9 players or 8 players in 34. So, going to see how that rolls out. Other than that, the 90% thought is that I'm just going to roll. I'm just going to take my chances, just to have a final look at the team, whether I play with the 2 Newcastle lads or because Mateta's scaring the life out of me at the moment. His minutes, and could he get dropped for 1 anyways, and his form is poor. So there are decisions I haven't even made yet. And do I just go with the midfield that you see on the screen there at the moment in the team picture? It's probably the optimal one, to be honest with you. It probably is the optimal one that would actually show the best averages. It's a little bit different to the one I've got in the spreadsheet, because I'm constantly tweaking and playing with this thing. But I'm pretty sure everyone in that midfield gets good minutes, gets almost a full game. Even the Newcastle lads, and they're banging form. And that can be said for a lot of people that will be optimising and using their transfers, as I said, with your Fodens, your De Bruynes, your Sakas, your Marinos, they're just Rodgers. They're all. I mean, anyone that's got them in their team and they're all playing fantastic, you're going to go very, very well if they do play the double. I just don't think there's any guarantee of that. You guys will be sweating. And on that note, I'm going to leave it at this on this one. I wanted to get this one out today, and I know these life cycle of these videos is very short now because there's such a short turnaround in the games. But tomorrow morning I will be finally doing a joint video with my mate Jason. He's also a personal trainer at the gym, who I am going to be able to live vicariously through, doing a free hit and bench boost strategy. So we're going to put a team together tomorrow and decide if that looks like a good team going out. He's got a decent amount of transfers up his sleeve. He's banked a few. We're probably going to do the bench boost and then free hit out. We'll do a free hit video early next week as for the free hit out on 34. So we'll be doing that one tomorrow. Should be a bit of fun. And yeah, tune in for that one. Should be good. Should be good. Other than that, guys, I hope you're clear on what you're going to be doing for this double, and I hope you all have fantastic game weeks. I will probably do the Bishop Run Cup next week, just a little bit late, because I just feel like I'm releasing, because there's so much going on, releasing quite a few videos. So I'll probably get that one. And again, amazing week in our league. Every single player in the team this week was well over the average. Everyone. Absolutely amazing, an incredible performance. So I think it deserves its own video in its own right at some point next week. In the meantime, take care, have fun, play your own game, don't panic, all of that. Talk to you tomorrow. Bye bye.